Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. This is an extra specially more toxic or more masculine or toxically masculine Tuesday with the usual crew plus a special guest. Welcome to the Real News Live show. Here we are. We are going to be live streaming a little bit later on the Donald Trump speech to a joint session of Congress. This should be a fascinating evening, and we're also going to talk a little bit, quite a bit maybe, about the death of Gene Hackman, famous Hollywood actor who once did not loan Steve Doran money. So I'm your host, Mike Barrett, in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am drinking, once again, the Canadian whiskey. Did you guys see that the Canadians took all the whiskey off the shelves that they already paid for? Hey,
Typical
Canada, we love you. We love you, our little funny little neighbors to the north with your funny little games like hockey. But you're dumb, okay? You're dumb. And I also noticed Mike Myers had had a T-shirt on SNL. Canada is not for sale. And given events that are about to take place or appear to be,
it's already been sold to the Indian.
Yeah. I'm gonna remind you that's exactly what Ukraine said last Friday, and now they're selling it. So good luck with that one, Mikey. All right, let's go around and use the horn here. The usual crew to my immediate right, former head of former second in command of security at Los Alamos National Laboratory, former chief of police, former Marine, special forces, all-around killer, a man who once survived being shot in the face by yours truly,
Mike
Steve
Barrett.
fucking the trail boss Doran. Steve, how are you tonight, and what are you drinking?
I'm doing good, and I'm actually drinking iced tea because I've spent the last several days in Tennessee following the trail of Blake Wally. So a lot of people don't know this. They think he's the king of television,
Yes.
but he's actually the king of Crossville. And anywhere you go, there is a picture of Blake Wally hanging in the vestibule or the entranceway of just about every building in the Cumberland Gap. So anybody gets a chance to get out there, you want to take the Blake Wally road to fame, head out to the Cumberland Gap.
And as we all know, pimping ain't easy. It's just the TV's Blake Wally makes it look easy. The pimp himself.
He makes it look easy when he's wearing his. He makes it look easy when he's wearing his banana hammock with the tassels on it.
There you go. And Sylvester Stallone has Tulsa King coming soon, King of Crossville, starring TV's Blake Wally. Blake, how you doing tonight? You ready for this weird, strange, we don't know what the hell to call it, State of the Union thing? And what are you drinking tonight? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's Crossville. I'm the new king. They're building the statue, building the theme park. Yeah, it's Daniel Boone and Blake Wally here. And they got a Buc-ee's now in the Crossville, so it's on the map. But I'm no longer there. But I am going to be.
You're not far away, but you're not far away.
That's true. It's making it in the afternoon drive. But I'm going to be drinking a little Maker's whiskey tonight in front of the Capitol.
But they do. They do miss you there. We know that.
Right.
Blake, sorry. Immediately below Blake, still continuing the counterclockwise, or as the dumb British call it, anti-clockwise movement around the horn. Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how you doing tonight? How's the house build going? And what are you drinking?
I'm doing great. We're going to be putting siding on the outside of the house tomorrow, so it's going to rain a little bit, but that won't slow us down at all. I'm drinking fresh brewed, fresh ground coffee, and everything's going great.
All right, and a little extra special guest tonight, my buddy, the husband of the lady with the amazing pizza here in Las Vegas. I think he's my friend.
That's kind of a slam. That he is the husband of
The queen of
Okay,
pizza here
all
in
right.
Vegas. I would call him one of my better friends, but I don't think he really likes me very much. James Mitchell.
You eat all his pizza.
Oh, I make his wife make it without pineapple on it, and she just submits to my will, and then Jim doesn't get pineapple on his pizza, so I'm on a shit list. Jim Mitchell, former Las Vegas Police Department detective. Jim, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great tonight, Mike.
What are you drinking, bud?
I am drinking
Don't say
tea.
Jeremiah Red. Okay, I was going to say don't say Jeremiah Red because then I'll get really, really jealous.
No, it's like Steve. It's not iced tea, but it's hot tea.
Yeah, it's hot tea. All right, now, guys, I want to get to this. I want to talk about this Gene Hackman case because it is odd. I think there's no question it's really odd. Mostly I want to get a back and forth with Jim and Steve on it, but I also want to, before we get to that, I want to just talk about what's coming up tonight, which is we're going to be live streaming the speech by President Trump to a joint session of Congress. There is probably more anticipation for this than any speech in recent memory. And the last thing that I was reading in the news on Twitter X before I spent 2 hours playing Rome Total War, trying to finish off those damn Spaniards, is that there apparently is now an agreement, a minerals rights agreement, and we'll start with you, Brooks, between Ukraine and the U.S. that's about to be signed, or it's going to be signed tonight, or it's going to be announced tonight. So Zelensky, after his blow up on Friday, got a dose of reality when he went to Europe and didn't get the money he wanted. And now the little bitch has come crawling back. What do you anticipate? First of all, Brooks, what do you anticipate tonight from this speech? And is that story true, right? I got to do some catching up. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if the story is true or not. I don't think that there's enough remorse on Z-Boy's part to step back to the table. Trump usually lets these kinds of things cook just a little bit, simmer just a little bit. You don't just jump back at the negotiating table. It appears that some of the land that has these rare earth minerals that supposedly belongs to Ukraine is occupied by Putin. And I don't think Zelensky has the right to give away the mining rights to that property. So that may be part of the negotiation. I don't know if you know this or not, but before he met with Trump and Vance in the Oval Office, he met with Susan Rice, the angel of death, Victoria Nuland.
Yep.
Also, Anthony Blinken, who's the former Secretary of State.
Also known as Reichsminister Krennic from Star Wars.
That's exactly right.
He looks exactly like him.
So the plot, was on. They were coaching him. Look, whatever it is, turn down Trump's deal. And he came in. He appeared to be all coked up to me. I was looking at some of his body language. He was actually almost convulsing a little bit because he was blazing so hard that he couldn't sit still in the chair. So I knew something was going to go wrong.
Speaking as someone who probably may or may not have a little experience with cocaine many decades ago, he was fucking coked out of his mind, Brooks. You know that one.
Well, Trump was very patient with him to begin with. His body language was very open. His tone was very even. And Zelensky just couldn't stand it. He had to come out of his skin.
Yeah, he was dealing with him like you deal with a fidgety 9-year-old.
Showed up in his green pajamas, totally disrespected the Oval Office. Yeah. And it was kind of nice to have the press witness it live.
Blake, in addition to getting your opinion on what you think is going to happen tonight, it's also true apparently that the women are planning to wear all pink tonight because we all know Donald Trump hates women. Of course, every Democrat in the Senate and the House just voted to allow men to beat the shit out of women in women's sports, but it's the Republicans and Trump who hate women. They're going to bring noisemakers and try to drown him out, and they're talking about throwing eggs at him, or that they're going to bring eggs because of the price of eggs. I don't see how this is going to work as a political stunt, but it sounds to me like they're trying to get arrested tonight, because if you throw an egg at the president of the United States, that's assaulting the chief executive, and that's a federal fucking crime. So I kind of wonder, you got any thoughts on why they're so desperate to disrupt this tonight? There's got to be something in this that's really threatening to the commie party.
Yeah, I suppose it hasn't gone well for them. So it's not really an official State of the Union. I guess they're just kind of going to go over the first 40 days of the presidency and then talk about what they've done and what they're going to do going forward. So it should be an interesting speech no matter what. And it's odd to see the Democrats freaking out, but they're freaking out about everything. So we'll see what kind of stunts they pull, but I don't think it's going to go well.
I'm going to predict there's going to be something financial in it. And by that, I mean, he's going to say something like, I think the president could actually terminate the income tax. I think by just saying, well, we're just not going to give the IRS any money and we're not going to collect the income tax. And I'm going to wait for Congress to pass a bill. But between now and then, don't pay taxes. I think that's, he could do something like that would just fuck everything up. So I think we're going to get something like that. All right, Steve and Jim. Steve, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the speech tonight or what we just talked about. If you do, go right ahead. And then,
well, we knew before he got elected that the Democratic Party was going to do anything and everything they could to disrupt him, including bad behavior when he goes out to speak. His rating with the people is the highest that it's ever been. It hasn't waned. He continues to be the most popular president in history. He continues to be the only president in history to do everything he says he's going to do. So the only thing that they can do to fight back is use childish, ridiculous stunts to try to disrupt him while he's trying to address the American people, which is just going to make him that much more popular and them that much less popular.
Yeah. I concur. Jim, do you have any thoughts on the speech tonight or anything before we get to the Hackman thing? Or no, as long as you're here, you may as well just get your opinions.
Yeah, I'm just anticipating what he has to say, probably primarily on what you discussed already as far as the Internal Revenue Service, and the transfer of all those agents to, I don't know if it's a permanent basis or transferring them to ICE to help secure the border, with ICE and the other agents down there. But, the IRS training and INS training are two different things, as Steve will tell you. It's two totally different jobs, even though they're probably mostly primarily commissioned by the federal government. I mean, it's apples and oranges. So I'm interested to see what he has to say about the IRS primarily.
If he transfers them out, my opinion is he's trying to get them to quit.
Yeah.
Or go down there, work about 3 days, and go, enough of this. Goodbye.
Yeah, well, he could do things and just like say, I'm transferring the entire IRS operation to the northernmost point of Alaska. We're going to build you a building there. And, oh, by the way, there's no internet access there, and we're not ever going to give you Starlink. So you guys have a good time figuring out how to audit people from Shitville, Alaska. Brooks, you made a comment there that the money pump's been turned off and the Democrats are having withdrawal symptoms. Interesting way to put it. That seems like kind of where we're at. It's getting more and more desperate. So,
well, who Data Republican is? She is an anon. She is deaf, and she is very gifted at database analysis. So she's released several database reports that are very accurate and have been recognized by Elon Musk. Her life has been threatened, and so the Cajun Navy moved in yesterday and gave her protective services. So she is sequestered away because they're trying to kill her for going into the databases. One of the things she found is congressmen are actually appropriating money to NGOs on which they sit on the boards.
Yeah.
And they do some bullshit little item for $500,000 or $600,000 and put the rest of the money in their pockets.
Yeah, I also think. First of all, I'm looking at the preview of the stream, and I thought after the 2020 State of the Union, where lip readers were able to discover that multiple Democrat and Republican congressmen were discussing that they were going to attempt to assassinate President Trump that night at the speech by poisoning him. I would have thought they would have turned off the cameras, but they're not turned off. And everything everybody's saying to each other is going to be recorded and lip read, and it's going to be really interesting. All right, boys, I'm gonna put you two guys, Brooks and Blake, kind of in the background to listen, and I'm gonna listen too. Although I may pop in to moderate here a little bit, but I wanna talk to these two cops about the Gene Hackman case, because I do think it's weird, and there are people that say that Hackman, was either involved in the Hollywood child trafficking thing or he was an enemy of the Hollywood child trafficking thing. That's what Randy Quaid said. So I want to just kind of get these guys' opinions and talk about that before we get to the not State of the Union. So we'll see you guys back here in a minute, and you can listen, of course, and if you have a question, pop it in the chat, and I'll bring you back for that. So let's do that. Okay, you two boys, I want you to play nice, but Steve, I'm going to start with you, because you actually, during your time in New Mexico at Los Alamos, I guess, you actually knew the guy and had lunch with him more than once. And so why don't you tell us what you know and what you think so far from what you've read, and then we'll talk to Jim.
Well, I mean, he was he was a gentleman. He was very quiet, laid back, really didn't have too much to say. He listened more than he talked. And like most people of his age group, really didn't like to brag about what he did. In fact, I think he was a little embarrassed that he didn't really have a manly occupation, that he was an actor. So he just liked to talk about general topics, issues of the day, that kind of thing. Acting never really came into any of the conversations that we had. He would talk about what I was doing at Los Alamos, and he seemed to appreciate that. He thought that the government was extremely corrupt and they needed to be reined in, and we had to start somewhere. But he just really wasn't a very talkative individual. He, like I said, he listened more than he talked, and he would just comment and, maybe change the subject or move on to something else. But we never, ever talked about his acting career.
That's kind of amazing, considering, he's one of the few guys. I've said to myself once, if I'm watching, as an example, Alan Alda on screen, my brain is always saying, oh, look, there's Alan Alda pretending to be Secretary of State. Gene Hackman, I never once thought, oh, look, there's Gene Hackman. I think he was one of the most naturally gifted actors I've ever seen. And there's so many great movies that he was in. And that's really interesting that you say that he wasn't that particularly proud of his accomplishments.
But see, a lot of people who of his age group, they felt a little gay. They wanted to be known for things, not going out and saying a few lines in front of a camera. Another guy, Spencer Tracy, was the same way. He never, ever wanted to talk about being an actor.
Did you meet him too?
He thought plumbers were more worthwhile than himself.
Yeah, this is a masculine show, so we can say masculine.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. All right, so Steve, what do you know about the case so far, and what does it tell you? And then we'll get to Jim, and I want to hear what Jim thinks about it.
Well, initially when it came out, it sounded like it sounded like, and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. We got a huge storm blowing around behind me.
Yeah, I can hear the hail or whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
So initially, when it came out, he, his wife, and the dog were found in bed, and they thought that they died of asphyxiation, CO2 poisoning, which sounded relevant because you got three in bed with a dog. They're all three dead. It sounded plausible. It wasn't later that they came out and said it like he was trying to get out the door. He was near the mudroom. He had fallen. His glasses had come off. His wife was in the bathroom with an open bottle of pills all over the floor. She had fallen in front of a space heater. The dog had died. It was about 50 feet away. And at that juncture, in my mind, I know the difference. I'm not a homicide detective, so I'll tell you that right now. But I do know the difference when I go onto a crime scene, what looks natural and what looks unnatural, and what evidence looks like it could be a homicide or a suicide or a murder versus, like I said, someone dying in natural causes. So to me, it seemed like he was trying to get out of there again, this is all speculation, but it seems like he was trying to get out of there to get some type of medical attention.
Okay. And we do know that his pacemaker pinged a week or so ago, and that would go along with
On the
what they
17th,
thought the age
February
of the body.
17th.
Are you saying then that from what you can tell that you think that that there's something suspicious about this, or
It's completely suspicious. You've got a wife who's 64 years old, in excellent health, that is dead along with him. I mean, again,
and the dog weirds me out. Did the dog starve to death? Did it suffocate? I mean, look, we pretty much know. I guess
it didn't
Jim,
suffocate. We know that.
Yeah. Well, we know they didn't. It wasn't carbon monoxide. I believe that Jim, you talked about at dinner the other night. Jim went into great gory detail about the symptoms of carbon monoxide.
Right.
Poisoning.
When you go into a crime scene, or when you are called into a scene and it's carbon monoxide poisoning, you know it.
Yeah, but it almost sounds like it's almost like were they trying to escape a gas cloud or something? It's bizarre, Jim. Okay, so Jim, you are a homicide detective, or you're retired now. But what do you think about this case, and also what do you think about Steve's perspective on it?
Well, I listened to an interview, Dr. Michael Bawden, who was actually an expert witness on a couple of our cases with LVMPD, and he said that they had downloaded the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office had downloaded the information from Mr. Hackman's pacemaker, and that's correct. They had they said that the pacemaker had stopped operating approximately 9 days prior to when they found him, and as far as determining time of death with the pacemaker, I mean that's going to be an approximate time of death. As far as reading, I've got a copy of the search warrant that was drafted by the detective, and it appears to be a telephonic search warrant, because the search warrant was actually signed at approximately 21:30 that evening, and it's not common for a judge to be in chambers, to go ahead and sign Steve would know to sign a search warrant. So it definitely looks like a telephonic search warrant. It's only 5 pages long, and Steve will also tell you that most search warrants are especially of a telephonic nature, are pretty much boilerplate. It's description of the scene, items to be seized within the scene, and of course, after the officers leave and secure the premises, they have to leave what we call a return of service. What that is a list of items that were taken from the house, and some of the items that were listed to be seized. Number 4, it says narcotics and any controlled substances that might be lying about. When you list things like that on a search warrant, it's kind of like the theory of you're not going to find an elephant in a drawer. So it leaves pretty much a blanket area that everything in that house is going to be searched, including narcotics. You wouldn't. Narcotics are small enough to where you have to look through every little nook and cranny inside the house itself.
Right. Well, would narcotics be on that warrant if there wasn't some reason to believe that there were narcotics involved? Steve?
No, not necessarily. I mean, in a death investigation, that's going to be one of the primary things that are going to be listed on a search warrant.
They look for anything and everything that could have caused death. Doesn't matter what it is.
Correct. And their initial responsibility, when responding to a scene like this, is either prove or disprove a homicide. That's your initial target right there, and walking into the scene, there was reportedly in the narrative of the search warrant itself, prior to it being signed by the judge, that nothing seemed to be actually out of place, other than the fact that there were two dead bodies in there. And it was initially reported that the dog was found dead inside the room with
the wife, yeah, at the bathroom.
With the wife. And the fact is that reading further, the dog was actually in a kennel.
Oh, and couldn't
in
get
the
out.
room. So the dog had been isolated for at least 9 days. So the dog probably expired, having lack of food and water.
That sucks.
Yeah, and as fortunately there were no cat. I don't believe there were any cats in the residence.
No, there was two dogs outside, I think, and the dog inside. That's tragic.
As Steve will tell you, if you have a cat in the residence, 99% of the time the cat's going to feed on the master.
They're going to start with the nose and work their way across.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
what Mike has to look forward to.
Let's not go there. All right.
Times three, Steve.
Okay, so before we get to the next thing, one question. Wouldn't a pacemaker, if they know when it stopped functioning, isn't it hooked up to anything where it would alert like a human being and say, oh, this guy's pacemaker stopped, he might be in cardiac arrest, go to his residence? That apparently is not a thing, or it's just maybe not a thing in the pacemaker rehab.
They have to have an actual monitor. Like some people actually are monitored by the hospital. Other people aren't, and so I'm assuming he'd had it long enough he wasn't monitored.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, either one of you guys, any thoughts or theories on what happened here? If it's not carbon monoxide poisoning, I mean, the first thought is, I think Steve, I think you told me the other day that he was an older guy and didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the maintenance on his furnace. No. Could it be something besides carbon monoxide?
Well, again, when I said that, the initial report said that all three of them were found in bed, dead.
Yeah.
So that leads to, if you go into a scene and you got three people lying in bed, they have the telltale signs of carbon monoxide. We didn't know at that point, but the responding officers would have. And they're lying there peacefully and nothing else is disturbed, then you can pretty much bet that it is something like CO2, the furnace has malfunctioned, something's gone wrong that caused their death. But then as the story unfolded, like I said, and it appeared that he was trying to get out of the house, and then she was found dead in front of the space heater, it leads you to believe that, either somebody mixed the wrong medications with his medications, and then he was feeling poorly, so he decides to take himself to the emergency room instead of calling 911. And perhaps the perpetrator, again, this is all speculation, which may or may not be his wife, decided to off herself because there was no way that they wouldn't find out what killed him when they did an autopsy.
Okay.
I mean, it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
And there were reports that she became more and more of a recluse. She would not leave the house. She would not leave him. Didn't like him going out by himself. So, I mean, it's all, it's all circumstantial, but, the fact that, somebody coming in, giving them medication that would kill them when you've got a 64-year-old woman who is totally in control of all her faculties just does not add up to me.
Yeah. And Jim,
Jim, the details of the search warrant also say that the caretaker said that the house was not secured. The front door was either ajar or unlocked, and they didn't have to use any manipulation actually to enter the residence. But the caretaker said that he primarily corresponded with Miss Arakawa, who was Gene Hackman's wife,
First lady
of 34 years, and the caretaker said that he didn't primarily converse with Mr. Hackman, but he talked a lot with Betsy, Gene's wife, either by text or by cell phone. And the last time that he had actually spoken to her was 2 weeks prior to them discovering them actually deceased in the house.
Wow. Do you?
And
Do
the
you
fact,
sort of-
also the fact what Steve said as far as the space heater being knocked over, that would account for the apparent mummification of her hands and feet, because in order to have a mummification, usually two things have to be present. Number one, a heat source, and number two, low humidity. And at the time of when they discovered them down, the humidity in Santa Fe County at that time was 28%, which is relatively low. So that would account for the mummification of her hands and feet.
Okay, well, interesting stuff. I guess we will try to settle this or talk about it more on another episode. But Steve, your scenario where it's what if it turns out to be something horrible like that, where she tried to kill him or something, and he fell and hit his head, and she killed herself? I mean, good God, with pills. I mean,
It's
crazy.
It's not the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Romeo and Juliet.
All right, we're welcoming Blake and Brooks and Steve. Blake and Brooks back. They are back, and thank you guys for hanging out there. Do either one of you guys have any questions for either one of these fine peace officers that have given us their opinion on this case before we get to the not State of the Union?
It's great analysis. Yeah, it's curious as we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So,
well, as a homicide detective, Jim knows way more than I do. That's a fact.
Okay. Brooks, you got any questions about what you heard or any thoughts?
Well, I just look at it as any problem. When you have one death, it raises questions. Two deaths, it raises a lot more questions. Three deaths in a short period of time, it has to point in one direction. And it could be just these cascading events. She was so attached to Gene, she couldn't exist without him, didn't like him leaving the home. If he collapsed in the hallway, she probably offed herself, and that's why the pills were all over the floor.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Maybe, I guess he could have just been going out for a walk or to walk the dogs or feed them, and he died of a heart attack right there on the way out. Right. She finds the body and takes a bunch of pills, and it hits her faster than she thinks, and she just drops dead right on the bathroom floor, I guess.
The only thing that strikes a chord there is most people love their pets. Okay, so if she were to take pills to off herself, she was in a panic, right? It wasn't like, oh, he died, Romeo and Juliet, I'm going to die.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? It's more like she was in a panic, and because most people would have had their pets, taken them somewhere, let them out. They would not let them perish in a cage.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe he had glycerin pills or something. Maybe she found him on the floor, ran upstairs to get the pills, and I don't know, tripped, fell, hit her head. I guess we don't know. There was no apparently obvious signs of that, but interesting stuff.
Mike, Dr. Bawden's theory is that she may have found her husband deceased in the mudroom and then ran to get his medication, thinking that she could revive him. And the pills that were found were thyroid medication and also high blood pressure medication.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot
along with Tylenol. Those were the primarily three pills or three conglomeration of pills that were found on the counter and the floor. And she may have it may be a slip and fall. She hits her head, knocks over the space heater, and expires.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility. She may be attempting to get medication to attempt to give to him.
Yeah. All right, we're getting ready for the speech here. I do anticipate some fireworks tonight. I don't know what they're going to be, but Jim, you can hang or you can depart. It's up to you. If you want to stay and comment, absolutely do so. Everybody here, just again, as this goes along, feel free to comment. Try not to talk over each other, as we always do. And I'm kind of more anticipatory of this than any event. If this turns out to just be a sort of policy wonk speech, by Donald Trump, I'm gonna be I'm going to be really disappointed because I think the run up to this is implying that it's really something. It's really a big deal. The other thing too, Brooks, I wanted to ask you this. The rumor is that he has told the members of Congress that their attendance is required at this event. I believe the president can compel Congress to convene. Can he not? And
yes, he can, and the vice president can compel the Senate. You're exactly right.
So, I don't know if you guys remember when Saddam Hussein was running Iraq, there was a thing where he did the same thing where he called everybody together and then he read off people that were traitors to Iraq one by one, and these ministers were, the military came up and took them out of their seats and
That's
walked
right.
them up the aisle, and we didn't hear the gunshots go off, but under Saddam that they were getting one put in the skull. I was like, wow! I thought, wow, wouldn't that be cool if we did the same thing here? Oh yeah, and Steve Schiff, yeah, found by a military tribunal guilty of child molestation and murder. You're gone. You've been. That would be a pretty fabulous.
I would prefer if you ever saw the movie Scarface, I would prefer the baseball bat to the back of the head of all the traitors.
Yeah, and wasn't there a movie with I think it was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was the name of the movie, where Jason Robards is playing Al Capone and he finds a couple of traitors and he uses the baseball bat on them.
There's
Negan on him.
There was a TV series that just came out called 0 Day. Now Robert De Niro starred in it. He's a good actor but a lousy person. In that movie, 8 members of Congress were arrested for treason during a joint session.
Oh, okay. Well, we all know they like to follow these Q scripts and things, and also people are saying that there is a Q post that corresponds to today on the dates. It says
March 4th.
Watch the speech. March 4th. Watch the speech.
Yep.
So,
see, and we don't want. I know you bring this up, Mike, but we don't want military tribunals, and I'll tell you why. Because that's what separates us from the rest of the world. That's why we have policemen to protect our constitutional rights. When you start letting the military get involved in civilian situations, that's when dictatorships begin. That's when people are wrongly accused. I mean, you don't want that. You want civilian policemen.
Yeah, well, like we've had against all of us on our side.
Now, as far as
cameras in place,
as far as crimes against humanity done by the military, that of course is taken care of by military tribunals.
Right. But what about an international crime against humanity Nuremberg trial thing?
Judgment at Nuremberg.
Yeah, wouldn't the military be involved in that, Steve, or would they?
Well, they were, but they were military criminals. They were members of the military that were tried.
No, not all of them. Some were members of the press.
Yeah, members of the.
They were members of the press, but they were part of the military.
Yeah,
they were enemies of the state.
They were the propaganda arm of the military.
Right. Yeah. Somebody wearing a ball.
I mean, I don't care how they get it. I just want them to get it. But I do not want the military taking over the jobs of civilian law enforcement.
But the thing is, right now, Steve, civilian law enforcement is so corrupt, from the judges to the prosecutors.
I get it, but they need to be arrested too. Not every policeman is corrupt. Not every federal agent is corrupt. Not every judge is corrupt. All of the ones that are corrupt need to be arrested and charged as well.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that. And I don't think that they should just be allowed to resign. I think that the FBI agents that were involved, for instance, in the raid of Mar-a-Lago, violated the law.
The first lady
arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, I am harder on policemen, and Jim will probably agree with me, than most policemen, most that are honest, are harder on corrupt policemen than the general public. We give them no slack.
Yeah.
We want them to get the maximum sentence under the law. We want no deals cut. We want them to go under the prison and be an example for everybody else out there.
Well, Steve, if they're going to be arrested by civilian authorities, who's going to arrest them? Is it the U.S. Marshals?
Well, I mean, the U.S. Marshals typically make the arrest after whatever federal agency makes the case. I mean, we've got Kash Patel in now. Hopefully he'll clean house.
Yeah.
Okay. The U.S. Marshals typically make the arrest because they're in charge of the federal courts.
All right, here you
go. I don't want any of these people to get off.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here comes. Let me know in the chat if you can hear the audio. Caesar. Where's Burchett? There's Tim Burchett, one of the few great and Laura Boebert in her.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's wearing a hat.
Everybody hates his guts. According to the Democrats, everybody hates his guts. I mean, this just shows how moronic the Democrats are. That they would actually say something like that, the evidence speaks for itself. Everybody loves the guy.
Nancy Mace.
You saw that one Congress squad right there holding up the sign that says this is not normal. You're right, because what's been normal has been child trafficking and murder and running drugs, corruption. That's what's been normal. So yeah, I'm really glad. That's what we voted for it not to be normal, not to be business as usual.
Look at that Dick Schumer and little Dickie Durbin. What dweebs.
That's not normal. They want a corrupt guy in power so that they can get all their money illegally through the federal government by scamming it out.
Yeah. Guys, can you find the audio on the video too loud?
Kind of difficult to hear you, Mike, over the.
How about now?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
If you want to hear the speech, look, people hear you here.
Hey, look, no transvestite officers, military officers. Amazing. It makes me proud to be an American again that they actually have men and women in uniform, not kids.
In high heels?
Yep. Not pieces of trash. Yeah, let's see what the ladies in pink do with all these people cheering for him.
Yeah, but I really hope AOC tries to throw an egg at him because then they can.
You just want to go out and post her bond. Give me a break.
Well, then I can interrogate her. But tell me.
Well, at least they didn't show up in their white uniforms with their hoods.
Oh, but they're all wearing pink though today. All the ladies.
Did you hear about that Canadian race car driver? She said that she thought she would hate Trump, and when she met him, she said he was so genuine. She had never experienced anything like it.
Yep.
All the Democrats are sitting down.
They're
Again, disrespectful pieces of filth.
Thanks,
And
Elway.
again, all it does is make the American people think even less of it.
That's right.
You don't have the respect to stand up for your president. You don't have the respect to behave accordingly. You're just an animal. Go away.
Jody, you like your show today?
Thank you, Jody.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States.
Ladies,
Man, she's beautiful.
an alien.
Elegant. Yeah, that's the other thing. You know, she's the most elegant first lady I think we've ever had. Maybe running a close second to Jack.
Members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back.
Wow.
All those losers still sitting down.
By the way, I want to formally thank the chat room for being here with us tonight instead of watching it on TV.
Has anybody seen the ladies in
6
pink?
weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
Welcome. You want an angel guided reading?
Thank you. I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
Democrat. Look at Al Green. What a piece of shit.
Good, they're drowning out the Democrat.
They rehearsed that.
Counties in our country, 2,700 to 525. On a map that reads almost completely red for Republican.
Wow, I think somebody just got removed.
Now,
Wait.
for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever.
This is political suicide by the Democrats taking place right now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, they've got no leg to stand on. They've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They've got nothing to lean on anymore. Just their lies and their
Small business
inappropriate
optimism
behavior.
saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded. A
Get him out, Vance.
41-point jump.
Yeah, he's standing with a cane.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning.
Get the wolf man out of here. Fuck you.
Pick him up.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant at Arms to restore
Yeah,
order to the joint session.
Awesome.
Have a little masculinity in this house.
Take him out.
There he is. There he is.
I would love to be the
All right,
sergeant at arms right
Sit
now.
down. When has that ever happened before?
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum,
Lateral
the chair now
vascular
directs the Sergeant at
chokeholds.
Arms to restore
Out
order.
he goes.
All right, it's going to get him out.
Remove this gentleman
That's the
from the
wolf
chamber.
man. I forget his name.
Wow. How would you like that for a bad
Taking him out. No.
Ejected.
Only fucking Trump.
I'd like to see him slam. I'd like to see Lauren taken out in the cup.
Right. Okay, so now we know the plan, right? That when she shows this is not normal sign, their plan is to be as disruptive as possible and make this not normal to try to blame Trump as if Trump is the problem. That's what they're trying to do. And oh my God, this is going to blow up in their faces so bad. Sorry, let me go back. Get out of here. Bye-bye.
That's a weapon. I think it needs to be taken from him.
Secure that bludgeoning device first.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. Over the
Hazen.
past 6 weeks,
Yeah.
I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many.
Absolutely, 100% true.
Yep.
And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that? I don't know about that list, but we'll take it. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy, or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
He's right. But again, the American people know that these idiots are scum and they don't have a leg to stand on. And every single thing that they're doing is against the United
Democrats sitting
States.
before me,
And they're just digging their hole deeper.
for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Wonder how many shots she's had.
Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction. To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job. And we've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out?
How did that work out, baby?
How did that work out for you?
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed, for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military.
He needs to go
And
back.
our country will be woke no longer.
Woke no more.
We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important.
Lauren Boebert with the off-the-shoulder dress.
You should be hired based on
fashion choice,
merit.
Lauren.
And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Thank you, human race.
I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. Three years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side, and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding.
Right on. Right on.
And the Democrats won't even stand for that. That
No,
piece of crap.
they like to see women abused in sports. They like it.
And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer.
Right on.
She needs another drink. Maybe she's got a little shot glass in her thing there.
What I have just described
Really, though,
is only a
she's
small
moist.
fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world.
I made Jim laugh.
Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again.
Nope, plumbing on the up.
Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control. And we're working hard to get it back down. Secretary, do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job.
Nope, resistors are getting
A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now.
Yeah, they cut the leases in the Gulf of Mexico, so Trump renamed it the Gulf of America. So they cut the leases.
Mike, you're breaking up again, Mike.
And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA. To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but we'll be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
Yeah, he looks really evil, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get your Social Security number, Mike, so he can take the money out of your bank account.
That's right. Right. Nobody has my Social Security number that I ever applied for a credit card. Nobody
Thank
has.
you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified.
Oh, here we go.
$22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. We know what we're doing. Should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taken back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the
where is AOC?
Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors.
She's the
people that we
designated
love rely on.
survivor.
Believe it or not, government databases list
He's under
4.7 million
investigation right
Social
now.
Security members from people
He's texting you,
aged
Mike.
100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them
Yeah.
And we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid and nobody does. And it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229, one person between the age of 240 and 249, and one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years older than our country. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families.
Bullshit.
I like how the Democratic senator says that it's all lies. It's all
And
made
today,
up.
interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
And I like the fact that he said that he's going to find out who's receiving those payments. And he's
Yeah,
going
that
to go
was
out.
definitely a hint. You know, telling he's coming after him.
Yep. They're not just going to lose the money. They're going to go to prison.
With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country, we will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money.
Boom.
Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change. For nearly 100 years, the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy and we will restore true democracy to America again.
Hopefully that will
Federal bureaucrat who
go
resists
down
this change
to the
will be
state level.
removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
Wow.
Right on.
About fucking time to hear that.
Yeah.
Yep. I hope every one of them gets arrested.
And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there, they're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that. But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax cuts.
Wow, they really are making themselves look so bad.
A very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors.
Can't wait. Oh my
And I
God.
I actually
also
think this is gonna work.
want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh, wow.
Brooks, you know anybody who's got a design for?
And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it?
Yes,
That,
Kenneth.
along
Lap
with
dances
our
are
other
going to be
policies,
tax-free
will
from now
No
on.
tax
allow
on
our
tips. Oh,
auto industry to absolutely boom. It's
Ask
going to
Blake
boom.
about it. He's already
Spoke to the
already working
majors
in his
today,
club
all
with that.
three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country, first term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea. But that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was. And so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day was cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. If they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market. There's a lot of that, too. They don't even allow us in their market. We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before. I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer.
You're bankrupt, Canada. There you go.
Thanks to our America First policies,
let all the Indians that they let in
place,
pay.
we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment. Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on earth right here in the USA. And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people. And they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to. Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies. They're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen. And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel.
Indian was there playing on her
if we
phone.
don't have, as an example, steel
Pocahontas.
and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, won't have. We just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard. Has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raise 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff.
Wow.
A lot of state money coming in for those kids.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Democrats always stand for that.
Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us. Very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize another person who has devoted herself to foster care community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person, our magnificent First Lady of the United States. Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative and is poised to complete her education and become a teacher. And Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image produced by a peer. With Elliston's help, the Senate just passed the Take It Down Act, and this is so important. Thank you very much, John. John Thune, thank you. Stand up, John. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And thank you to John Thune and the Senate. Great job. To criminalize the publication of such images online is a terrible, terrible thing. And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast. And I want to thank Tom Homan and Christy. I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody, Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren.
And the Democrats remain seated.
Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley.
Well, the over-under at 84 and a half minutes looks like the over's going to win at this point. You bet.
I noticed the photographer taking pictures of the Dems' faces.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you.
This is why we don't need politicians in office. We need people who understand business and who understand
the media and our friends in
common
the
sense.
Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed
Unfriend them, Susie.
was a new president.
Perfect.
Let's rewind that.
Absolutely perfect.
Let's rewind that. I want to hear that.
Oh, that was the best line of the night right there.
Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you.
If you read that line already.
Yeah, I just went back. I don't have
The
Lot of empty
media
seats.
and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Absolutely
That's
perfect.
classic.
That was the best line ever.
Just rubbing their nose in it.
Hey, Susie, I have cousins I don't talk to anymore.
Wow.
Thank you.
Medicaid. Who said
Joe
Medicaid was
Biden
going
didn't
away?
just open our borders, he flew illegal
What kind of
aliens
bull
over
crap is
them
that?
to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know, Alexis Nungary from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are 2 illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order?
Democrats, please remain seated.
Yeah, right.
The Democrats made me sick to my stomach.
It's disgusting, David. Repulsive.
Well, they like it when Americans are murdered by illegal aliens. They celebrate it.
Thank you very much. All 3 savages charged with Jocelyn and Lakin's murders were members of the Venezuelan prison gang, the toughest gang, they say, in the world, known as Tren de Aragua. 2 weeks ago, I officially designated this gang, along with MS-13 and the bloodthirsty Mexican drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations.
Special forces.
For terrorist organizations, then the military should be allowed to go and wipe them off the face of the earth.
They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever. With us this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol Agent Roberto Ortiz. Great guy. In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them, Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the prints of that event, and it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took, and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much. Thank you, Roberto. And I actually got to know him on my many calls to the border. He's a great, great gentleman. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we
right on. The Democrats support the cartels.
That was a good one, Jim. Thank you.
5 nights ago, Mexican authorities,
Sounds like a good job for our drones.
Tariff policies being imposed on them. Think of this. Handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever. But we need Mexico and Canada to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi, good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you. Thank you, Cash. They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon will respect it. This also includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and I will never forget them. And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. One year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral. The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest, and we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets, and we're going to do it fast. Got to stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here. I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer. And tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law. I'm also asking for a new crime bill getting tough on repeat offenders while enhancing protections for America's police officers so they can do their jobs without fear of their lives being totally destroyed. They don't want to be killed. We're not going to let them be killed. Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer.
What do the Democrats have against him?
Oh, they'll find something.
He's not gay.
Anything Trump, yeah, he's not gay. Yeah. Only who is LGBTQ plus. That's right, dude.
But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago.
I guess the Democrats want him dead.
Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, DJ. DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new presidential commission to make America healthy again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. With the name Kennedy, you would have thought everybody over here would have been cheering. How quickly they forget.
Right
Our goal
on.
is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000. And now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong. 1 in 36. Think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby? Good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you. Thank you. My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January, Little John and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly, socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology. I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie.
The Democrats are hating that one.
And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you. Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better? Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations. And he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference.
Wow, really?
And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Oh, really? Yeah, but don't get sucked in by it, Sedona Angel. We got to get rid of it. Yeah.
And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But
Steve can tell you about it.
I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets.
Yeah, you normally need a congressional nomination.
Yeah, that's right.
I think a presidential nomination trumps.
Yeah, I was just going to say the presidential nomination takes care of that.
At least to sit on the board that selected the candidates.
Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places, they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships.
It's actually a great
We
idea.
don't make them anymore.
Yeah,
very
really.
much.
It's part
We're
of our
gonna make them
infrastructure.
very fast.
They
very
used to
soon.
make all
You
the
cannot-
engines
We'll
up
have
there in
a huge
Illinois.
impact.
No,
To
no,
We
further
can't
enhance
rely
our
on
national
foreign
security,
countries to provide
my
us with
administration will be
know,
reclaiming
bullets,
the
ships,
Panama Canal.
That is a
and
great
things that
idea.
we
And
need
we've
for
already
war.
started doing it. Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal.
Malaria.
They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1. But that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it, he got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes, and I'm either very, very happy about that, or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco. He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight.
Uh-oh,
for
they're
the
going to say
incredible
Rubio
people
gave
of
a Nazi
Greenland.
salute.
Yeah.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population. It's a very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice.
And they also left all the dogs there to die of thirst.
Yeah.
Every commander who is in the chain of command that was responsible for that should go to jail and lose their commission.
Agreed.
And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, most of them, whose children were murdered, and the many people that were so badly, over 42 people, so badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day. Such incompetence was shown that when Putin saw what happened, I guess he said, wow, maybe this is my chance. That's how bad it was. Should have never happened. Grossly incompetent people. I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. Just spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call. Every one of them called, and everybody was on the line, and they did nothing but cry with happiness. They were very happy, as happy as you can be under those circumstances. Their child, brother, sister, son, daughter was killed for no reason whatsoever. In the Middle East, we're bringing back our hostages from Gaza. In my first term, we achieved one of the most groundbreaking peace agreements in generations, the Abraham Accords. And now we're going to build on that foundation to create a more peaceful and prosperous future for the entire region. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. People have been talking about that so much lately with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. But a lot of things are happening in the Middle East. It's a rough neighborhood, actually. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Right to your face. Oh, God.
2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans, but I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending.
That's right.
And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen.
Nope.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
So they all have new houses and $4.5 million cars. It's time to go to the peace.
Yeah, I was going to with a $35 million match.
And untold millions
It's
or
time to
billions
stop
in the
this
bank in
madness.
Switzerland.
It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides. Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia and sentenced to 14 years in a penal colony. Rough stuff. The previous administration barely lifted a finger to help him. They knew he was innocent, but they had no idea where to begin. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight.
Right on.
And believe it or not, for the President of the United States, that's a pretty easy thing to do, even against a hostile nation.
I
So
didn't know that.
these other guys have no excuse whatsoever for not doing it.
They just let them sit over there?
What's that?
They just let them sit over there?
Yeah, the previous administrations did.
To Mark and his great mom, we are delighted to have you safe and sound and with us. As fate would have it,
Yes.
Mark Fogel was born in a small rural town
Some of the Democrats
in
did
Butler,
boo peace in the
Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Where his mother has lived for the past 78 years. I just happened to go there last July 13th for a rally. That was not pleasant.
Nope.
And that is where I met his beautiful mom right before I walked onto that stage. And I told her I would not forget what she said about her son. And I never did I? Never forgot. Less than 10 minutes later, at that same rally, gunfire rang out, and a sick and deranged assassin unloaded 8 bullets from his sniper's perch into a crowd of many thousands of people. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not so lucky. Corey Comparator was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father, and above all, a protector. When the sound of gunshots pierced the air, it was a horrible sound. Corey knew instantly what it was and what to do. He threw himself on top of his wife and daughters and shielded them from the bullets with his own body. Corey was hit really hard. You know the story from there. He sacrificed his life to save theirs. 2 others, very fine people, were also seriously hit. But thankfully, with the help of 2 great country doctors, we thought they were gone and they were saved. So those doctors had great talent. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their two beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Thank you. To Helen, Allison, and Kaylee, Corey is looking down on his three beautiful ladies right now, and he is cheering you on. He loves you. He is cheering you on. Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. From the patriots of Lexington and Concord to the heroes of Gettysburg and Normandy, from the warriors who crossed the Delaware to the trailblazers who climbed the Rockies, and from the legends who soared at Kitty Hawk to the astronauts who touched the moon, Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil of a perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways, and graced the world with American marvels like the Empire State Building, the mighty Hoover Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge. They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age. These workers who poured their sweat into the skylines of our cities. These warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. Now it is our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty. And it is our turn to take America's destiny into our own hands and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest era. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth. We are going to create the highest quality of life, build the safest and wealthiest and healthiest and most vital communities anywhere in the world. We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we're going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond.
Good Elon like that.
And through it all, we are going to rediscover the unstoppable power of the American spirit. And we are going to renew unlimited promise of the American dream. Every single day, we will stand up and we will fight, fight, fight for the country our citizens believe in.
Right on.
For the country our people deserve. My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future, because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
There's the Pleiades and ambassador. Ambassadors of the Pleiades. There's people demonic.
Almost 2 hours. 2 hours, 26 minutes.
Okay. Steve Doran, you were commenting a lot. I didn't see it in there. Reminds me of the Bible story of King Josiah. You want to explain?
Yeah, he came in and Israel was in a mess, and he got rid of all the evil people, got rid of for their time, the wokeness, and Israel flourished for years after because of his election.
Yeah, it's like when who was it, Jackson, that got rid of the central bank.
All right, there you have
and
it here now in the anchor chair with some of the recap of what we just heard for a little over an hour.
Absolutely.
And 40 minutes.
Took off. So an hour and 40 minutes. Okay. All right. I want to hear what you guys think. I'm going to just make one statement and then go from there. One of the things I thought was masterful. First of all, we didn't get anything truly earth-shattering. We didn't get anything that hasn't been talked about in policy before. I was hoping we would. I was hoping we would get something that would shake up the markets or something like that. We didn't get that tonight. So that's a bit of a disappointment for me because I was hoping for that. But what he did do, which I thought was masterful, is he basically got the Democrats to show people who they really are.
Yep.
They would not stand for cutting taxes for working Americans, working class Americans. They wouldn't stand for keeping illegal immigrants who murder our wives and daughters out of the country. They wouldn't even stand for a young boy, a 12-year-old boy with brain cancer. That's how much they hate Trump. That's how demented they are. And I thought that what it really did was just really allow the Democrats to destroy themselves. Blake, I want to go to you next because I want to hear what you have to say about what you heard.
No, I definitely agree with that. This whole speech, I mean, is indistinguishable from the regular State of the Union. We didn't know what we were in for, but it also shows that elections have consequences, and this has turned everything around. America's on a completely new trajectory here. Also, I would agree. Yes, probably worst time in history to be a Democrat. Now, they're mindless cult followers with their sorry little signs. And they've kind of stranded themselves on the wrong side of history. So it's great to see Trump just trolling them all night directly with devastating Doge statistics, or calling them out on the open border, challenging them on voting for tax cuts at some point coming up, and just calling them even lunatics to their face for all the lawfare and for everything. And yeah, they look terrible, not standing for anybody. Shame on them.
Yeah, now,
we
see,
are exposed.
that's the one area where I disagree with you a little bit, Blake, is that he did something I've never seen anybody do before, which is he got right into the faces of the other side. And usually these things there's this pretense of decorum. There's this pretense. So, the trolling stuff, that was unprecedented. He just went right after them and exposed them, which it seems like that was what the whole strategery of the night was about. Because, I've never seen a president go after the other side of the aisle like that before. And, they fucking deserved it. Right down to the assassination attempt. So, all right, Brooks, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't say anything better than that. I mean, that's exactly what set this, if it was a State of the Union address, which is kind of early in a presidency for a State of the Union.
Mhm.
But from the opening statement, when he said America is back, it was energetic, it had positiveness. But when he waved his finger at the Democrats, and they all pouted and held up their little preschool signs, their pre-printed signs, because they don't have an original thought. They have to have some other thought that they're going to hold up on a sign. They looked terrible. They looked terrible to America. They looked terrible to the world.
Yeah. Steve, how about you? What was your impressions of the
Well,
evening?
I mean, I think he sent a clear message to the Democratic Party. Not only did he make them look bad, but he's already cutting off their illegal monies that they've been getting through different means, ripping off Social Security, USAID, et cetera, et cetera. And not only did he make it clear that funding was going to stop immediately,
Yep.
but he said he was going to trace it back, find out where it was going, find out who was responsible, and those people would pay for ripping off the American citizens. And if you notice, when they panned to the Democrats, all of them turned ashen gray or white and just looked at the ground because they know that payday is coming.
Yep. Jim, what was your thoughts on the speech? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Agnew, what he said about, holding up the signs. That how much premeditation expressed or implied was that? How long did it take them to get those signs manufactured? They knew what was coming. My God. And they showed Adam Schiff sitting there. He had his thumb up his ass, and Schumer sitting there with his head down, and Pelosi looked like she was in the bag.
Yeah.
Pelosi is always in the bag.
Yeah.
But body language was 100%. Just watching that, and towards the end of the address, how many empty seats were there? It's just childish and telling what they're about.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell you who they are, and that's exactly
now that they can't pay their protesters, now that they can't pay people to side with them, they have no support.
Yeah.
None.
What was funny is that they were holding up the signs for about the first 15, 20 minutes, and then they just kind of stopped doing it because, maybe somebody got in their ear and said, people are not reacting well to this, or,
No. I was watching Twitter while this was going on, and the memes were insane because they held up a sign. They changed all the words on the signs.
Yeah, those were hilarious. Yeah.
I was monitoring Facebook just to see what people were saying. and they all, even Democrats, were disgusted with the Democrats and their behavior. That they were talking about, why can't they, at the very least behave like adults? And that was the common theme throughout all the threads.
They might as well have had a cock and balls on those signs. That's how ridiculous they look.
I had a thought. And see if you guys think this is a good idea. How about, as a troll, that you Elon creates a shadow company that makes signs, and he sells them on the idea, hey, guess what? We can make you these signs, and you can change the signs. Like, it can say liar one time, and it can say bullshit artist the second time, or whatever. And you guys can change the signs and what they say. And that way you can sort of adapt to Trump as he goes along for the next speech. And then you talk him into buying all those, and then Elon's really the one who has control of the signs, and he puts up all the stuff like, Adam Schiff holds a sign up and it says, I'm a fucking pedo who murders black kids. That would be really something clever. Now, I wish I would be, if I was with the administration, we would have done that. It's like, it's like the Seahawks, Brian Bosworth, called John Elway before the first game, Seahawks and the Broncos, called him horseface, called him all his names. And then there were all these, fuck Bosworth t-shirts that got sold in Denver outside the stadium. Guess whose company made the t-shirts?
Made a fortune.
Brian
Well,
Bosworth. Yeah, so that's what we got to do next time.
Well, the other theme that I saw that was very clear is that Trump was talking about making peace between Russia and the Ukraine, and when he said, "Oh, Pocahontas likes this," and all the Democrats are smiling and clapping for 5 more years of war, that really turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
That's the only time they smiled. That was the only time they clapped. They didn't clap for the 13-year-old boy with brain cancer. They didn't clap for the lady who lost her husband, or the lady
in the assassination
sister. Well, the girl who was murdered on the campus.
Yeah, Lake
didn't
and
stand
Riley.
up and clap for them, but they clapped for 5 more years of war.
Yeah.
And
so
smile.
I mean, hopefully Trump tweets that exact same thing out. Notice the Democrats didn't clap for Lake and Riley, who was murdered by illegal immigrants, and didn't clap for a young boy with brain cancer, and didn't clap for this and didn't clap for that, but they did clap for 5 more years of war. That would be my first truth tweet, whatever. I think if I was him, I think you nailed it there, Steve. So I really think the one thing that strikes me about this is that it, to me, was an indication that he's going to war with these people. That's what he basically told him. He's like, not only am I going to go to war with you, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do to you, and here it is. That's what it felt like. It was a declaration of war.
Yeah, I think you're right. The first presidency, he kind of wanted to avoid it. He tried to do foreign policy. He tried to do, great things and kind of ignore the lawfare that was going on against him. He even ignored the 2 impeachments. But this time he's taking the offense.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that he wants, like, whatever tariffs they charge us, we're going to charge them.
That's right.
Who disagrees with that is a flippin' moron.
Yeah.
If they're going to charge us, why wouldn't we charge them?
Right. And it's like, oh, well, so, a tube of toothpaste is going to cost more because it's not made in China. Well, okay. First of all, so what? Secondly, guess what? The cost will eventually come down, and we'll be buying it from an American company for a change. How about that? We'll be buying these microphones. They'll be manufactured in Indiana instead of fucking Peking.
Well, and Brooks will tell you that when you start buying American products, I saw this throughout my career, anything that comes from America, all of your issues that you have with that product go away.
Yes.
Because, like, we would buy uniforms, right? And they'd want to go to the lowest vendor. Anything that came out of another country, the sizes were wrong. They didn't fit. They were poorly made. They
Zippers were on the wrong side.
Yep. Yeah. If we bought uniforms out of the United States that were manufactured in the United States, they were a few bucks more. But guess what? They fit. They were the correct size, and they didn't fall apart in about 3 months.
Right. Okay, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you for being here. A couple of reminders. Don't forget, if you want to come out to the Quantum Summit 2.0 in Cape Canaveral, Florida, I will be there on Friday. It'll be a Saturday, Sunday event. It's going to be pretty spectacular. And you can sign up for the live stream for 2 days for only $34. Yes, $17 per day. There's a link. I will put it in the description. The link is on all my other videos and websites and stuff. So come on down and see me. You can also hang out with a few cool people like the original Mark Z. Unfortunately, Brooks and Blake will not be there this year, but we're going to work on that, guys. We're going to get you out here to Vegas. And Jen and I will be back tomorrow to do a post-mortem analysis of the speech on Real News Live with Mike and Jen, and of course, Whiskey and Wisdom with the original Mark Z tomorrow night. And Brooks has a brand new book out. Brooks, why don't you tell us about it? Glance of Angels.
Glance of Angels, Dawn of the Golden Age. Just came out in print. It's 508 pages. It's already in the top 100 on Amazon, and hopefully we're going to go to number 1.
You're a little long-winded. 508 pages? Jeez, dude.
Single space.
I could write 3 novels for that.
Well, the story was just.
All right. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you get in the top 100 on Amazon, because that hasn't happened to me before. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks to Brooks and Blake and Steve, as always, and special guest James Mitchell. for being here. Guys, this Gene Hackman thing is not going to go away. I think we're maybe going to have more to talk about next week or the next couple of weeks. So, Jim, keep your primer dry. And is that the right word? Anyway, what the fuck? Get ready. Be ready.
It was an honor having him.
Be ready. And it was an honor having all of you guys. Sorry about the Rumble side. We didn't get you in the chat today. Promise I'll fix it tomorrow for the show with Jen. Everybody have a great
Good meeting all you
Everybody have a
guys.
great Tuesday. Have a great week, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
If I do this, I can't click the
Yeah.
Hit the adios
I can't-
button.